This is Two Views Wrestling. Let's get into it.
Give me a hell yeah. All right.
Today on Two Views Wrestling, we want to pay tribute to the biggest what if in wrestling history, Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy!
Or in TNA, he was Mr. Anderson.
Anderson! Wait for it. Wait for it.
Which is a pretty cool Matrix reference when you think that he could have been the one.
Looking at Kennedy, he had it all. He had everything that made a great wrestling star. He had the mic skills, intensity, charisma, good in the ring, and he had that bleach blonde hair.
Kind of like Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
We say biggest what if because Kennedy had not one, but two superstar elevating plans set in place for him to enter that rare air of being the guy. And we all knew he had the chops to be there. His Money in the Bank win, an eventual run with the title that we didn't get, and the storyline of being Vince McMahon's son, which is universally agreed upon as would have been must-see TV if we were able to get it. Did you have one that you were really hyped for more than the other?
I thought both of those were really great, but that story of Vince McMahon having a bastard son that was on the roster of his company would have been incredible. And Kennedy was the perfect choice for that. And I also think that the story of Shane McMahon and Mr. Kennedy feuding over their father's empire would have done big business. Unfortunately, we got Hornswoggle, and the story went nowhere.
So having talked about the cinema part of Mr. Kennedy's career, let's get into the sports part.
If you go back and watch a handful of Kennedy matches, you'll see he should have been a megastar. I mean, he had matches with Sting, Undertaker, Batista, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, and Shawn Michaels. And Kennedy put on bangers with every one of them. We have 5 matches we think perfectly showcase the potential of Ken Kennedy. Kennedy. So turn off Behind Enemy Lines Columbia and check this list out. Number 5 versus Batista from Royal Rumble 2007. This is a feud I think would have done big business for WWE for years. Kennedy as that annoying opponent that haunts Batista would have been perfect. Every Kennedy match felt like a real fight because Kennedy never stopped fighting. He is relentlessly attacking the leg of Batista, which is smart as Kennedy was smaller, and it gave the much bigger babyface a chance to battle back and try for the win. At one point, Batista kicks out and Kennedy starts punching him in the leg. Then when Batista goes for the powerbomb, Kennedy is punching him in the head all the way down to the mat. Kennedy was the epitome of never stop fighting.
First thing I want to say about this match is the way Kennedy got this title shot was just sick as fuck and a great way to get heat as a heel. He won this Beat the Clock challenge by pulling Undertaker's opponent out of the ring, buying himself those couple extra seconds to get the win and set up this match with Batista. I love the match. I love what you're talking about with Kennedy, how he makes everything look like a fight, which is in essence what wrestling is supposed to be, a simulated fight. The question I had for you, though, watching this and then thinking about Mr. Kennedy, the whole idea of giving him flowers, is so Cena has Orton, and you mentioned this, like Batista and Kennedy could have a thing. If things turn correctly for Kennedy and Batista never leaves, would Batista and Kennedy could have been on the same level as Orton and Cena to you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and also it's like with the brand split, you could have had Orton and Cena on Mondays and Batista and Kennedy on Thursdays or Fridays, whenever SmackDown was during this time. And not just the Batista aspect, but the Undertaker aspect. You have Batista and Undertaker, these two, huge forces, both kind of going after each other for the world title. But then in the middle is this, annoying, cocky, arrogant heel that, like you said, he drags Taker's opponent out to cause Taker to lose, and just stuff like that. Just, this cool aspect of this annoying guy interfering with these two big monsters and being a thorn in both their sides at the same time would have been great.
What you're saying, he's different than those two. He also felt different than Cena and Orton. And I guess him and Edge maybe a little bit were kind of the same, but I don't think Edge could ever make matches look like a fight like Kennedy does.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you just look at Edge's spear, it's like the worst spear in history. Jey Uso has a better spear. So I don't think, looking at Kennedy and Edge, their styles or whatever, I think that, yeah, Kennedy for sure gave across that, like, real fight feel in his matches.
To stand out apart from the rest in the company, and we got more matches that show how magic Kennedy was in ring. What's number 4?
Coming in at number 4 is against Jeff Hardy at Against All Odds 2011. This was a ladder match for the TNA World title, and this wasn't Kennedy here. It was Mr. Anderson. Going in, Anderson was the champion, but unfortunately, he still had to carry around Jeff Hardy's custom world title. So you knew right away there was really no hope for Anderson to have a long run as the champion. I thought that was a huge mistake on the part of TNA. I thought TNA using Anderson as the face of the company coming off his departure from WWE would have been a huge boost for them, and I think he could have elevated the company to another level. But of course, bad booking, bad decisions ruined all that. This is still a good ladder match. There are some brutal spots in it. And it's also interesting because Jeff Hardy is the heel here. And to see Jeff Hardy flipping off the crowd is, catches you off guard. It's something you don't think would work, but it actually worked pretty good. This is a forgotten ladder match, and it's definitely worth checking out.
Going back and watching this one after you told me the matches that made the list for you, yeah, Jeff Hardy as a heel was a crazy time. And that title belt that he had, that was something as well. I agree. I thought Mr. Anderson should have been. That would have been the guy. That's who I would have made TNA. I would have been like, oh, okay, this dude has all the talent in the world. He literally had 2 storylines that WWE was like going to push him to the moon with. Obviously, there's something here. I'm going to build my company around this guy.
Yeah, and, the whole thing of Jeff Hardy being a heel is Hogan and Bischoff have this group Immortal that they want to take over the company. I don't see them picking Jeff Hardy. I feel like they would have picked the cocky, arrogant Mr. Anderson.
Oh, yeah, that would have worked better. Yeah.
So, yeah, he could have been the crown jewel of Immortal, been the world champion. I think that's a much better story and angle for this whole thing with Immortal.
What's the third match on the list?
With number 3, we have Anderson versus Kurt Angle from Lockdown 2010. Speaking of the Hogan-Bischoff era, I think this may be the best match of that era. I think it's one of the best matches in the careers of both Anderson and Angle, and I think it's one of the best cage matches ever. I loved Anderson's heel work here. He's taunting a bloodied Angle. He's choking him with the wrist tape. He's beating him with a chain, and then he's flipping him off just to low blow him when he comes in. And I also love how after every German suplex, Anderson is throwing elbows to try and get out. And Angle is at his peak here, and he works his ass off for Mr. Anderson. It's been 15 years since this match, and that moonsault off the top of the cage is still insane. It seemed like Angle was up there for a full minute before he hit the ground. And the end of the match sees Angle with a vicious, and I mean vicious, stomp to the genital region before exiting the cage.
So watching these 5 that you're going to list after you sent them to me, this was the match I would recommend for everyone. That moonsault, I've seen it before, and I still, while watching it, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to end up. Like, he literally does hang in air forever. And speaking to Kennedy in this match, yeah, the way he was selling every move that Angle did was, again, giving it that fight feel, this big fight feel. But I want to talk about his heel work. The finish really showed how big of a heel Kennedy was, how shitty of a person he was in this heel role. When Kurt Angle, the man with the 3 eyes, not only does he know he's going to win the match, but he takes time to spit in your face, but also hit you with this low blow. It's like if this man of integrity is stupid, you know someone's dragging him down to a level that's not him, and it has to be someone that's a real fucking heel.
Yeah, I mean, and the entire match, you can feel the hatred between the two. They executed it perfectly. It felt like a fight with, like I said, Anderson trying to fight out of everything. And, yeah, Angle just stomping on your nads like that, that's definitely not an Olympic hero type move.
Hopefully TNA can get to these levels again one day. What's number 2?
Number 2 is against Shawn Michaels from Armageddon 2007. I think these two had great chemistry, and I wish we had got more matches from them. They have a really physical match, and they were laying in that heavy leather. I feel like HBK didn't like Kennedy with how hard he was chopping him, which turns out from backstage stories and rumor and innuendo, I guess he didn't like Kennedy. In my opinion, Shawn is the best in-ring performer ever, and Kennedy was right there keeping up with him. They each targeted a body part, with Kennedy going after Shawn's historically damaged back, and in turn HBK was doing damage to Kennedy's hand. They had several spots with some counters and reversals that were very smooth. The finish to the match was a surprise and incredibly smart. I feel like this is a hidden gem that does not get enough love, and it's a great example of the potential Kennedy had.
Again, it is very impressive how Kennedy is transforming wrestling into a fight on these matches that you've listed. That finish was clean as fuck. I love the fact, like, spots are cool, and I get a lot of the spots we get are usually high flying these days. But the finish of that match, the spot of Kennedy punching him in the face, saying fuck because he thinks he broke his hand, and then this sweet chin music pop instantly. It's like that's what we see in a real fight in UFC every weekend now, because the UFC feels like there has to be a card each weekend. But still, that makes that shit so much. It keeps kayfabe alive. Like, it really hits home with that. I also thought that he made Shawn look like $1 million with that. Like, oh, hey, the sweet chin music is this knockout move that can come in the blink of a second if you take your eye off Shawn Michaels. So that was really impressive to me and what I liked a lot about the match.
Yeah, and talking about that finish, and then you mentioned earlier him pulling the Undertaker's opponent out for Undertaker to lose the Beat the Clock challenge, punching Batista in the head on the way up for the powerbomb. It's a lot of like logical things that make sense, and they're all very simple things to do. And again, it just gets over, the star power and the potential of Mr. Kennedy.
It's like those when coaches say that the little things matter and that the little things will build winning habits. Like when you watch this, you can see very clearly, while even though the man's storylines that were going to lift him into superstardom, he's still there. Like, he's still mentioned with Cena, Orton, and he had no world titles in WWE. It shows you, when you watch these matches, you see, oh, okay, I get it. Like, he did have everything. One thing I want to point out about this card of Mr. Kennedy face Shawn Michaels, it also had Jeff Hardy face Triple H for a number 1 contendership match. So I just thought that was cool on this card. They had 2 guys that were entering the main event scene in a way, Mr. Kennedy, Jeff Hardy, going against 2 old guards of DX. That leads us to what was the best match.
Coming in at number 1, we have Kennedy versus The Undertaker from No Mercy 2006. This whole episode, we've been talking about the potential and the star power that Mr. Kennedy had. And for me, this was the match that made me think that Mr. Kennedy was a main event player. He goes toe-to-toe with the dead man here, and he had everything scouted, and he didn't back down at all. which makes sense because at this time The Undertaker he had probably the longest run in WWE. So of course there's film on him. It's easy to study him. It's easy to scout his maneuvers and his game plan. And once again, when Kennedy gets caught in a hold, he fights like crazy to get out. He doesn't just let The Undertaker carry him around without putting up a fight. There's great heel work here with Kennedy removing the turnbuckle pad and not slamming Undertaker into it until much later so that you forgot that he even removed the turnbuckle pad. I also love it when Kennedy grabs onto the referee to avoid a choke slam, which is another smart move. Kennedy hits a nasty-looking pile driver on The Undertaker, and it was great, but it's ruined because Michael Cole calls it the tombstone pile driver, which it clearly wasn't. The end would see Kennedy victorious when The Undertaker gets disqualified for using the U.S. title. But like Kennedy said, it doesn't matter if he won by DQ. All the record book says is that he won. This was a great first match of an underrated trilogy that should have strapped the rocket to the back of Kennedy and taken him to the very top of the industry.
Those are 5 matches that will really show you how talented Kennedy was. We talked about how great he was on the mic. In the comments, help us give these flowers to Kennedy, Mr. Anderson, and let us know some of the matches that stood out to you from his career and maybe some of the promos that really hit for you so we can go back and watch and enjoy the career of
Mr. Kennedy!
That's another round of Two Views Wrestling with Tim and Greg. If you like the show, hit follow and share it with a fellow fan. Got a hot take or match request? Send it in. Until next time.